Okay, let's go. You started off last time, so go ahead.
Episode 2. This is good. Going through the clips you made and posts on social media and just rewatching them really reiterated what we've done, what we've learned, the lessons and going through it had me relive. I relived a lot of different things based on the questions you asked me and just thought about how could I have shortened that pain cycle? And what would have been required to do that? What would I have listened to? Because you asked me, what did I go through? We talked about therapy, the superficial, the numbing, and even though I had therapy and I had all the guys saying that there's plenty of fish. It's fine. Give it time. Don't worry about her. It just didn't matter. So listening to that again and thinking, damn, I wish I had us back in the day to be able to cope with that. And then just speaking about values, this is really interesting. So it was my nephew's birthday. So 13, took him out yesterday and we're hanging out and we're talking about shows. We're talking about South Park. We're talking about The Simpsons and Family Guy. And I asked him, like, which one do you prefer? And so he goes into detail. And the kid's super sharp. He's interesting as heck. He makes me laugh. He tells me this, and this blew my mind for a 13-year-old to tell me this. He said he liked The Simpsons better because even though Homer's a doofus, he's always loyal to Marge.
A 13-year-old said that?
A 13-year-old.
Hmm.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I'm just getting chills saying that again. Because for a kid, especially a kid related to me, someone in our family, his mom, because he lost his dad 5 years ago. My brother had committed suicide, and so he has like his mom, his influence, whether it's him, his mom's doing such a great job in raising these boys. Where the younger one said this, yeah, 13-year-old. So that hit like. At that age, I was not thinking about that at all. That would
Right.
not have even been a thought. It'd just been, this is funny. Like, ha ha ha. Like, this,
Yeah.
I like Family Guy more because the humor is crasser. And that's what I tend to. I like things that make you like jaw-dropping humor that disrupts what you're thinking and what you're watching. So yeah, so blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Yeah, my son is along those same lines. I don't know where his level of well, I do know where his level of maturity comes from. I mean, I think I know it comes from the efforts that I've put in with him, but I didn't know, he's 11 and hell, he put a letter in the mail the other day and mailed it to me, and it's this long ass letter that just blew my mind. Um, just like he was like reflecting on all the effort that I've put into his life and through the coach he was go naming off different times through coaching sessions or coaching moments that he was just like thank you. That's all. It was just a big ass long random thank you letter, now that because we don't I don't see him as often, so I don't know what compelled him to do it, but um
But what does that bring up in you in terms of that's the best testimonial you could get in life, right? When your kid comes up and tells you that, hey, you've not only are you a great dad, you're doing the right things, but is able to substantiate it with all this evidence. How did that make you feel?
well, mostly, one of my biggest fears was making this moving 200 miles away. And, I land, I, a year before I moved, I applied for a job, drove down here, crushed the interview, got a job. It was starting out as a $120,000 job and landed the job. And a week later that I called him back and I was just like, I don't want that job. And I just wasn't ready to, I felt like I was giving up my fatherly role, but I was actually too involved in his life. I was so involved in his life. And it came a point, and that was part of my move leaving Oklahoma was like, it's time for me I have to be more than a father to this son. Like I know I've done a good job, but like stuff like that, moments like that letter, it just kind of validates that, yeah, it's okay. So that job, what happened? I quit. I said, I can't do this job. I gave myself another year and then I moved. And then it's the response from him is been amazing. His birthday's coming up and I mailed him a letter back and reminding him, you're only 12. you know, I do put a lot of pressure on you to focus on the future, but you are only 12 years old. Continue to enjoy your mom's love and soak all that in while you can. Um, and in hopes here in a few years, 14, 15, he's going to want to leave mama's nest and come with me. Um, so yeah, there's that. So, um,
But wait, let's back up a bit to the
okay.
comment you said about um you're too involved in his life. How elaborate on that because I
Also,
don't understand
you
and how
know,
that can be a bad thing.
in my he is so sensitive in my efforts to be involved in his life. I was putting too much pressure on him. He was everything that he was doing, man, I would half be part-time coach or whatever, or be right there with him all the time, attempting to guide, but it was putting this unneeded pressure. Like for instance, like the second year of his football team, he just wasn't responding very well at all. And I talked to the coach and I just quit, just stopped helping, stopped showing up even, and talked to the coach and then I would I would watch from afar and then I would for the games I would watch from the visitors sideline. And he was a completely different kid when I wasn't there. And I wasn't this screaming dad. Like, he's the smallest kid on the team. I didn't expect anything more than him to just try as hard as he can. But
Right.
um, it was really weird. So when I wasn't around, he was laughing and dancing and like practice was hard, but he was having a lot more fun. He was making it fun. He did not like the coach very much, but and there was I remember there was one practice I showed up late and I was trying to watch him practice without him seeing me. He goes the whole practice and he's working his ass off and he's having fun and he made a mistake. He got beat and then his head just snapped over there and looked at me. So he saw me. He knew. I didn't know he knew. And he didn't pay any attention to me the whole time until he made that mistake. And when he made a mistake and got yelled at, his head snapped and
Hmm.
just turned and looked at me. And I'm like, you, I, I don't know, man. It was really
Yeah, I can
difficult because
understand.
you have to make mistakes to learn. And I'm no matter what I said that it's okay to make it never took. It was just this extra dad pressure. And since I've moved away, he's just thrived at everything. It's he'll call me if he's got a question. Um, or if I wanted to try something, I tell his mom. But I stay out of that. And he's just so independent. And I don't know, dude. So that's what's been different. That it kind of hurt at first because it's like all I'm trying to do is help my son, and he just didn't need that. He was it was coming with this extra emotional load that was not benefiting anyone. Um, so I don't.
Sounds like and the father son dynamic and the mother daughter dynamic are the two hardest ones. Flipped around, it's a healthier relationship between father daughter, mother son, because you're not going to grow up to be your dad as a girl, and you're not going to be
Yeah,
able to grow up as your mom as a son. And we put those pressures on our our sons
So you
because
have both, so you can speak to it.
I can. And there's a few things. Well, first, I just want to acknowledge that that self-awareness as a parent, first, that you instilled that in your kid where he is striving to be better, but you caught yourself where realizing that it's probably because of he's trying to please you, which was could have been his reaction looking to you as opposed to being self-motivated, which is what we want our kids to be and not do
Yeah.
because I'm doing this for my parents. That doesn't give them that resilience and resourcefulness to be able to soar. In my kids, there's a different dynamic. You've got so my son's older, my daughter's younger. First kid has you're just more on them, right? The more kids you have, the less you care. And the first kid, he's my son, so he gets more of that pressure. He's also more passive and less emotional to my daughter, so you're not worried about that. Like you'll just give it to him. And so I've caught myself as well. In fact, we had a chat today where I'm just reassuring him that like the kid's amazing. You're going places, you've got everything you need. If and just telling him like I don't mean to apply pressure. I just want to inspire you to make sure that you don't squander your skills and abilities because you're so powerful. But I've done the same. I recognize that I see him in public where he's different and he's more confident and pointed. But with me, he's been a bit more sheepish because there's a fear. And I don't want him to be fearful of me. I want him to be inspired.
I don't think there's any way, I don't think there's anything we can get or any way we can get around it. Um,
I think the
and
self-awareness and just
but
telling
if
them,
think about it though for a moment, if it wasn't there at all in his life, if he didn't have that pressure or that fear or that guy, like if that wasn't there, that respect didn't exist at all, it, where would his compass be? Where would his bars be set? Where was his, where would he get his I don't know, his guidance, his writer,
the
his
drive.
moral compass,
Yeah.
like so. But at the same time, it sucks because I don't get to see the full him, a 100% version of him. But anyway, maybe that'll come in time.
I'm
Uh,
thinking, well, no matter at some point in life, they get away from us, they become independent.
mhm.
And like you said, instilling those values, the discipline, helping them develop that drive to be able to want to be better themselves while still balancing the smelling the roses along the way. I think it's a healthy balance. Even I'll be the first to admit that I feel that I don't take in the smelling of the roses as well.
Right.
I'm very outcomes based, but when I am in that place, I'm all in. Like I'm out. I'm not working right now. I'm not being productive. I'm just out with friends. I'm on an adventure. I'm on the couch and I'm not well, I can't say I'm not thinking of other things, but I'm pretty good at disconnecting when I have to now. Not has
Yeah,
it always
it's a
been
conscious effort. For me, it's the same thing. It's like, you have to allow time for the kids to be kids. And in as men also, we have to allow times for us to like decompress or whatever. We talked about it last week where don't forget to take care of yourself.
yeah.
Don't well, I just earlier today had a meeting with an ex client, and he's real bad about, and he's a kind of compulsive. Some people are, he's either all in or all
Okay.
in or all out. He's up and down. He's one of those people that, you know, the past couple meetings, yeah, he's just completely quit drinking, completely just at the gym, at work, at da 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 da. And then today I seen him and he's hung over. And can you still see me? What happened? Let's see.
Yeah, you froze.
I froze.
I can still hear you.
How's
There you
that?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it, it's just I've tried to work with him about finding a balance of take care of yourself too. Yeah, he just balls to the wall, burning a candle on both ends until the damn thing burns out. And then it's like, fuck everything. I'm getting drunk, staying drunk, you know, and
Yeah.
and we have conversations about it, but that's something that, when you're 45 years old and that's how you've lived your whole life, learning a different process takes it takes time, and
That's one of my biggest challenges is that healthy rhythm. And a real it's a strong an ADHD struggle in terms of that hyper obsession followed by immediate inability to do anything. It's such a challenge. And what I know is good for me, but I neglect because I have to-dos to get done, and the mindfulness piece and out time in nature and movement is important. But I get into phases where I neglect that, and it's really silly. And setting what I need to do, what I've done that works is really um, not not berate myself for not getting these things done, but having a minimal standard of I will do 100 push-ups a day. I will do 100 body weight squats a day. I will get morning sunlight and go outside and skip rope in the morning
yeah,
facing the sun. And so little things like that. My nutrition is on point unless I'm out of the house. Then I eat anything that's deep fried uh, and sleep, and then having just I quantify everything and establish those targets, and that's why I've got this to help me track it. And for guys, it's really giving them that one thing that they can do to improve it. Like, what's one thing this week that you can commit to doing out of all those things? Like, can you get 7 hours of sleep every night? Can you get outside and walk for 30 minutes, depending on where they're at?
yeah. Let's hold on. So one of the I want to pause because what you're saying is good for what I was about to say. We wanted to talk about
Yeah, that's
the
right.
most healthy ways to get through the breakup, or what to change to stop the breakup from happening, or if the breakups happened and you just feel like shit, looking back at it. We were talking about, let's talk today about getting through it in the most healthy way possible, in a way that turns the pain into growth instead of turning the pain into complete and utter dismay and depression, right? So
Yeah,
you were talking about not just saying, hey, go get healthy. You were talking about building in a healthy structure of activity daily, right? Like,
yes.
and sticking to it. So go ahead and
Yes, and I should have pulled up. There's actually, because I'm really evidence-based. Everything I do is um really, really in depth. I won't even come out and say anything publicly unless I've done my research. There's no bullshit. And I've got, where did I put that? I've got metrics for what that is, and it's 5 minutes of actually I should pull it up. I'll maybe share it on a future call because those metrics are and this helps me, right? Oh, I only have to do 11 minutes of breath work a day or mindfulness. I only have to do this to be able to hit um that magic number that optimizes whatever's happening in my mind and body. And say if you're walking, this is what I coach my parents in terms of that's great that you're walking, but I want you to push yourself so you have to lose your breath and do that for say 1 minute on your walk and then come back to your normal pace because this is what triggers all these beautiful things in your body to be able to increase longevity and wellness. The biggest thing. So after we talked about what we're going to focus on tonight, and I was thinking about it and just replaying things in my head with myself and working with other men. And the biggest thing at the beginning is everyone's focused on what she's doing, what they've seen, this new guy that's liking her posts on social media. And the very first thing I tell them is unfollow her. And then they get into, well, I want to see pictures of my kids. And yeah, that's a challenge. I'm like, okay, you're right. you need to see that. You need to see what's happening in their life and just see pictures of your kids because that's updated real-time information on your kids when you can't see them. So what can we do to make sure that you're not going down the rabbit hole and trying to analyze your behavior based on their social media patterns?
Yeah, I want
That's
to
a
stop. I want to stop right there for a second. So
sure.
yeah, so that is a thing where you just go back and keep checking on the latest pictures, the latest updates on what she's doing, um, and hating every minute of it, right? Like, why the
Yeah.
fuck do I keep doing this? Why am I doing this? Why the fuck am I doing that? And it's just the years of emotional bond, right? I guess I'm asking kind of as much as I'm telling. It's just that emotional. It's like if you carry this cup around all the time, you're, and then you put it down, what I gotta have
Yeah, that's
something in
exactly
my
it.
fucking hand. So, so the answer then is to replace the cup,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So, but what people do though is replace it with, this becomes a liquor bottle, and they replace it with. So what do we replace it with? What do we replace checking? I got an idea, but constantly checking on your ex should be replaced with your guys. A new that's one thing. That that one of the best ways is reinvest in your friends.
Yes.
Reinvest in or you know find one of the things I tell guys is there's all kinds of events. One of my clients right now, one of the things he's always wanted to do is scuba diving. And I'm like, okay, stop checking on your ex's shit,
Yeah.
get heavily involved in scuba diving,
Yeah.
and to where that space is, you think about that, like that's a whole thing to just immerse yourself into anyway. It sounds cool, fun, not to mention who else you're going to meet.
That's it, right? And finding people that the same interests. And you just raised a lot of things. And people are going to get a chuckle out of this. I actually took a hip hop dance class. Because I just went to at the time, like I want to dance like JT. Like that's in me. Let's go. Still can't.
Right.
Maybe I can. When I'm home alone cooking, music's going. That's I'm in my zone, and I've
There you
got
go.
an area in my house where I've got the big old school tower speakers where I stand in the middle, and there's actually a little trampoline there. I just bounce and I just take it all in. But that's such an important point, Michael. That you can't just stop anything cold turkey. It has to be replaced with something. It has to be replaced with something. And you're living with somebody 24/7, sleep with them, you see them, you message, you talk every day, you've had kids together, you've done so many things in your life, and all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah, that's
And
that's the thing is it's not so much about them as just a whole fucking void now. It's just a void.
that's it.
And yeah,
And what do you fill it with? Fill it with
but
other women.
and
Fill it
and
with
it and the reality is you can fill that void with something better. You really
yes,
can. It's almost always possible because I'm a better man now than I was 10 years ago. And
me
10
too.
years ago, I was a better man than I was 10 years before that.
Yeah,
So, like right now, I have access to so many more positive hobbies, so many more women, whatever the hell it is. I'm a better version of myself,
of
and
course.
and
And the
that's the
better
cool.
version you
That's the cool.
become, the better people you attract
That's the
professionally.
cool thing about manhood is women as they get older, their options go down,
Their capital decreases.
and our options go up. I mean, that's one reason why I left Oklahoma and I'm in Dallas now because Oklahoma's a little different where I was almost there weren't very many people like me, but in Washington, DC and in Dallas and in the big cities, you're in your 40s, you're running everything. Single guys that are 40 are in charge of everything. They're having the most fun. It's actually the advantage of
It
of
is.
being
This
in.
is when we, and I've told this to my kids in different ways. Told my daughter when her powers will be at the highest and when my son's power will be at the highest. And 40 is that starting point. We become the silver foxes. Our wealth increases, our knowledge increases. And as long as you're not fat and lazy, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
I got back into the dating world just to be a good man, good parent, and have some sort of goals set me apart from many other people. And coming back to what I tell guys is that you're still going to check. So limit the time of, let's pick a time, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, one or the other. 10 minutes a day, you can check out her social media. That's it. Put your phone down. That's all you do. What else are you going to do now that improves you? And I try to phrase it or frame it not as a distraction from thinking about their ex, but to frame it as what is it that you want to become? How do you see that? And scuba
Yeah.
diving, the hip hop dancing. It could be getting out to so many different activities. Go for paint nights, take an art class, go out and for hikes, go biking, get a motorcycle, like all the things you couldn't do because you're married. What were the no's you got in your relationship? Actually, that's a good starting point is
Yeah.
what could you not do when you were married? Let's make a list. So for me, it was taking international backpacking trips. I love like hostel traveling, eating street meat, just immersed in the culture. So I would disappear and do that. I got my
Yeah.
motorcycle that I'd always wanted. I was too responsible pre-marriage, where I got a house. Really, I bought my first house when I was 21. Instead of doing the frivolous things, and I lived, I traveled, I did fun things, but I didn't have that a
You were
fancy car.
married at 21, right?
No, I got married at 26,
Okay. So
26.
why'd you buy a house at 21?
Because I wanted to create equity and value. It was an
Yeah.
investment. I rented out the rooms to army buddies,
Okay.
and then that became refinance it. It became another
Okay.
property that became four, and I kept going. That saved my ex-wife is well off because of the decisions I made, which means my kids will always be secure. I have nothing to worry about.
Right.
So, what is it that you want to do? What have you missed in? So, it's making a list of what
Well,
did
what
you
did
not
you
do?
what you said it really fast, but it's the same thing I say, and it's really important. It's like, who do you want to be?
Yes,
Right. So who do you want to be first? What are the activities that that person does? Right. And
yes,
how, what are the habits that it takes to become that person? So who do you want to be is kind of the bigger overarching question. And then, okay, so what kind of stuff does that version of me do? So you're not just kind of randomly doing shit just as a distraction. It's like, no, I have created a vision of who I want to be, and this is just part of how that person lives his fucking life. And then you just
yes,
start living. And the thing about it is, it's like this person that you build that you want to be. When you first put it down, when you first kind of, I have my guys write it out and visualize it. It should seem almost impossible, right? It should be like a dream. Like I couldn't actually be that. But then you just start striving for it. Okay, well, how does that person live his life? How does that version of me live his life? Well, what kind of activities does he do? He goes scuba diving. Well, just fucking do it.
yes,
Just go and do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So now you're already building that person,
yes.
right?
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said, and I think that's a really powerful exercise. And identity is everything. And I'll talk about alter ego in a second, but it's about just that. What does that person look like? Aiming high so that it's not attainable within the next month.
Yeah,
It's a constant striving to get there and adopting that identity by doing those activities, by being surrounded by other people that represent that, by the what and getting them to write down what are the thoughts and beliefs they have? What do they say about themselves? How do they look and feel? How do they carry themselves? And so for me, you're gonna laugh again. Although I've never seen him dance hip hop, so probably a bit of a clash in terms of where I was headed. But Harvey Specter. I remember watching Suits And Harvey Specter was that identity, that alter ego I had, where I was fucking shattered. I could get up, get dressed, walk through the turnstile. The moment I walked through the security turnstiles at work, I was Harvey Specter. How I carried myself, had the nice suit, in the boardroom, making presentations, and just embodied that. And that helped me level up faster and recover. And the worst thing is being left with your own thoughts. And now the second piece is, so we talked about what you need to do to replace those behaviors, activities, and thinking. So the first one is, how do you wean yourself off your ex-partner, your ex-wife, and it's giving yourself a limited amount of time to be able to creep her on social media. Second thing is how to what beliefs, what identity are you adopting to be able to now become better? And I think divorce, by my ex-wife leaving me, except was a catalyst for change. That made me a better person in so many ways. And having a daughter, those two factors in life have been astronomical in the impact it's had to myself. So dedicate time to do what you need to do to wean yourself off the new identity and activities. And then the other piece, which I've just lost my train of
Well,
thought.
I like what you said. So, um, who you said who, and we say this, but surround yourself
That's it. Yes.
with the right people. With well, just take this call for instance. Just having each other, but like keeping this dream that we both have alive
Yes.
is is you keep trying to stop doing everything alone. So and that's one
Yes.
of the challenges that we're trying to get across to guys right now is you don't have to do everything alone. There's no shame in I don't even want to say call it getting help because I don't know. It's just
Support,
collaboration. It's just
community.
collaboration. It's
Yeah.
just, there's nothing wrong with conversating with guys who have been there. You really want
No,
to.
it's your village, right? Whether you're a child or an adult, like we're still fucking kids inside. And this is what I remember. And that's what I was going to say is so grateful for such positive friends. I remember just never wanting to be alone because my kids aren't here. You're all of a sudden go from wife and kids to being alone. And I had friends I could pick up the phone at any point who would just listen to me and be encouraging. They wouldn't, but they wouldn't understand. They weren't there. They were married or single and couldn't relate, but they were there. Or I had friends that just had an open door policy where they're married with kids. I could just go over and hang out, have a beer, be able to vent, and had a really good relationship with both my friend and the wife. So just healthy feedback. And looking back, and there's also a lot of shit talking of my ex, but that was part of the healing process, which I don't think is, you know, you want that to some degree, right? Because you want to know that people are loyal to you and have your back and are supportive. So that's part of the process, and you have to vent and get that out. But when you're able to vent with people who understand your position and going through it and have healthy, productive advice, because that was lacking. I didn't have that. Yeah, I was there. I know what you're feeling. That hurt. That sucked. Here's what didn't work for me. Here's what worked for me because we experimented, try to figure it out. And time I could have shaved down. Last week you asked me what you did that for a year. I said it was a couple of years. It was more like 3 years. I remember dating women who call me out on like, yeah, you're still not over your ex. I'm like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
But uh, it's amazing what you don't see in yourself. So I don't think I ever found that tribe of other men that really understood it in a healthy way. There was the guys that just coped, didn't heal. They moved on to some degree, but didn't really heal and improve and grow.
Right.
And which also then created damaging dynamics um with their baby mama.
Um,
And we've got a question. Hey,
Yes.
yes, please. If you're comfortable coming on camera, come on camera. If you want to just put it in the chat, please put it in the chat. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Hey guys, just
Jeremiah,
yeah, just wanted to chime in, say hey, I'm here. I've been listening to you guys. I was invited by Michael, kind of last minute, and so hey, I'm with
we're
you. I'm
good.
listening, and I'm happy to add.
Okay, please. Yeah, tell us what's resonating and what do you want to add?
Yeah, so just listening to you guys, I'm kind of starting the process of divorce, but kind of been in the middle of it for a long time. Um,
Okay,
and so my story is going to be, there will be similarities, but also it's going to be quite a bit different. I'm living with my soon-to-be ex in the same house, different rooms. We've got a 6-year-old son, trying to figure out how to appropriately, responsibly split up and co-parent, and go, just divorce. That's what we've decided our path forward is. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm here, and if I feel like chiming in, or if you guys have questions for me, something like that.
absolutely. I've got a few questions. How
Sure.
have you guys been separated living in the same house?
It will be 2 years in October.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Do you have a line in the sand for the date of separation, identifying this is that moment that were splitting?
I wish. No, no, I wish I did. I wish we did. Um, Backstory a little bit. We've been married, it'll be 10 years in October and September. Um, we're both military. We're dual Air Force. She got back from a deployment last October, had met a guy on the deployment who would listen to her where I wouldn't. He met her in places that I didn't meet her in our marriage. Um, and he just made her feel ways that I couldn't, that I didn't. I was not the best husband. I had a lot of anger issues. I was very selfish. I was really bad at pushing my own insecurities off on her, blame shifting, things like that.
Okay.
And through this process, like you said, if your wife hadn't left you, you wouldn't be who you are today. The same. I've changed so much over the past 2 years. In the beginning, it was for her, to try to save the
Yeah.
relationship, to try
Yeah.
to. Now it's all for me. It's all for my son. I don't want my son to be going through the same stuff that I'm going through. So you make the changes you have to make. At some point, you're going to wake up. Hopefully, my dad still, I can talk to him about this, and he says, "I'm almost 70. I'm stuck. I am who I am. I'm not interested in changing." Hard to hear about your dad, but at the same point, I'm glad I'm finally waking up, and my 6-year-old is not going to have to deal with the same. I mean, this is my second marriage,
Okay.
and just not being able to be where you're supposed to be in a relationship, to be able to meet someone where they need to be met, and I expected too much from her. I expected more from her than she was able to give to me. And just to be able to finally wake up and realize that, and know that change is possible. I can get through this. And I was in a big hurry at a few points trying to get the divorce done. And right now I'm just in, you said you're in the army, the term, you embrace the suck. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at right now. I have
Yes.
embraced the suck of where we're at, and I'm just making the best of it as I can.
Well, first, I didn't think you Air Force guys even knew what the suck was because you guys have
We've
it.
got a different kind of suck, but yeah, it
It's all
sucks
relative.
sometimes.
But let me thank you, Jeremiah, for sharing all that, and thank you for your service. And I'm sorry that you're going through this, and that's a long stretch, but I think it's a beautiful thing that you've cultivated or have the self-awareness to recognize what you need to do with a focus on your kid. And I think that's our guiding light. Like it's all for our kids. There's a few things I'd love to ask you if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, when I hear a story like yours, I get concerned about the legalities and the logistics of not having a line in the sand to say, okay, we acknowledge you're splitting up. Let's say this is the date of separation. as of that day, all money goes into separate accounts. Division of assets and valuations are as of that date, and we have a common account for all household expenses and for a kid because it's really murky because this is what I fear and what I've witnessed is the more time you spend together, it may seem easy and you're living along and it's more economical because you're still sharing expenses. But the minute one of you becomes romantically involved, it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
So have you had that discussion of what's that end date? When do we go on our separate ways? When do we let our son know that we're splitting up?
We I've tried. I've tried to get we've got some I just found out recently that I don't know how I didn't know, but we've got some tax issues. And so our house is actually under I can't remember what it's called, but like basically there's a lien on our house or a not a lien, but the tax issues were so bad that we can't sell the house right now because of back taxes that I guess stem back from a house that I used to own a decade, more than a decade ago. So we're working through that. So that's a sticking factor for us. That's not not a normal, not part of a
Right.
normal situation. And so I think one of the big things for her is she wants to get all of those back taxes hashed out before, I don't know why, but she wants that done before she will sign the divorce paperwork, which I've already started the process. I've
Okay.
got the first set of papers is in the legal system already.
Okay.
But I'm awaiting the second set and I need her signature to push forward with that.
Well, generally, if a lien's registered, then the amount owing is determined by whatever municipality, excuse me, registered the lien. It's there. So
Hmm.
if
Let's
you sell your house, they have second position on your mortgage. So you've got your first mortgage. The municipality that registered it would have second position. So when it sells, they would get paid out. So
I
the
see.
that would get settled provided you're not underwater with negative equity in your
No, we're
house.
definitely not.
Okay, well then that would be resolved immediately at sale.
Okay.
And you'd have to speak to a real estate lawyer or
Sure, sure.
even a good accountant would be able to tell you that. But that also may, hearing that makes me curious. Is your wife, do you have any appetite to reconcile? And does she have any appetite to reconcile?
I would say not at this point.
100%?
I'm not 100%. That's part of the reason I think maybe she's not signing. But every time I bring it up, she goes to a puddle, breaks down, and says, I can't. I have to be alone for a while. So I, she might, because she talks about getting back together years down the road after she has gotten to where she needs to be, but that
Okay.
doesn't make sense to me. To me, once it's over, it's over.
Okay. And
well,
when
hold
people
on. We got
reconcile,
let's
I just want to share this. When people reconcile, you guys were two people at the point you got married, break up. If you get together, at that point, you're two different people that have
Sure.
been
Yeah.
through, developed in different ways. And should that work at that time, that could work. But if there is an appetite to reconcile at this point, even if it's a, a minute percent, I think it's worth the conversation to just say, like, what would that look like? That's my 2 cents because of not just the complications, because at one point you two were in love, you created a child, it worked at one point, and I see infidelity as a symptom, not the cause. And you said it, you weren't giving
Absolutely.
things what you said resonated with me because there were things that I was asking of my wife that was probably too much. I wasn't being the man and leading that relationship after a certain point. I wasn't. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And
so
if
we
Thank you.
got
we're
we
going to
got
bring that up, explore it.
great conversation. We got 10 more minutes on this call. You guys can we'll exchange information for you guys to keep going. This is where um so Jeremiah, so I'm Hinesh and I align, just so you know. How we go about things is very similar. We have very similar backgrounds. Um, Hinesh focuses more, so I'm more on the men who want to get the relationship fixed and they're actively involved trying to get that relationship fixed. Hinesh focuses more when the relationship is crumbled and the man really just wants to focus on the child. What is the process of, how do I do co-parenting, make sure
Okay.
that my kid is going to be taken care of. And we did last week we talked about how to co-parent and keep your life from being destroyed by the court system. We did a whole episode on that, but um, so you guys should talk, I think, um, and you can get his perspective. But for the purpose of this call, we've got a few more minutes left here, and I have to get off this. I have to get off this call.
Okay.
uh, but yeah, so let's follow up like that. I'll exchange emails or phone numbers or something. But I, where were we on this call? We were still talking about when you're down in the depths. What are ways to keep yourself from spinning out of control? It sounds like Jeremiah has been able to find some clarity while down in the. It
Mhm.
sounds like
In a big way.
you're in the fucking pit right now. Most guys, when they're down there, they cannot see the truth. They cannot admit the truth. They cannot see or admit, you know, um, you're able to stay positive in a time where most men, hell, that's where a lot of guys are pulling the trigger on themselves, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and
Um,
and not just your most guys also are just marking time. You've experienced and demonstrated like significant growth, despite living in limbo right now, right? Which is got to be, I think,
Agonizing.
the
Yeah,
most challenging ways to live is to be in the same place as your ex-wife living a lie.
It's awful. I mean, I feel like she keeps me on an emotional yo-yo. Like gives me hope that there's a possibility we might get back together, and then pulls that rug out from under me. That's happened like, over the 2 years, over and over. But anyway, yeah. So what I've done to help me move on, I got self-help books. Some of them helped, very few did, but some of them did. Joining groups like this. I've got another one tomorrow night. I've been in groups of guys. It's not just guys, but I've been in groups that address the issues that I see in myself. And so
Hmm.
I joined groups. I've gone to counseling. I have counselors, I have therapists, and guys you can talk to. Like you're saying, you got to find some people you can talk to. You got to talk to somebody.
Good for you. Good for you. That's taking things into your own
accountability.
hands.
Yeah, that's being a man, really. Um,
What do you feel
okay.
has been when you say what's, things, some things have worked, some things haven't worked? What are examples of both sides?
So one of the books I got talks about anger management. I didn't realize what was anger, what was expressing itself as anger in my life, and I realized through reading those books that a lot of my depression exhibits itself as anger, and I didn't realize those two were so intertwined or could be so intertwined.
Okay.
Um, And so there was a time that I was on medication. I was on antidepressant and I was on an anti-anxiety. I did not like that, but it got me through the hard parts.
Yes.
It leveled me out enough where I wasn't thinking about ending it. You know, not that I don't know that I have that in me, but I can understand when you're at that type of low, how someone else could get there for sure. And that medicine got me through that point where I was able to step back and realize, you know what, yes, this is bad. This is awful, but I for me, I got a 6-year-old. You know, I have to be here for him no matter what, no matter how bad
Yes.
it gets. He needs me every single day.
Yes. Wow, that's really good. And like you, I was medicated and leading up to the end, more so at the end, and then as I improved myself, I was able to get off of those
So
different
that
things.
stuff helped you guys, that those different I've never taken any of those medications, and
The
Everything's got a
medication
trade-off.
helped.
it
Yeah,
did help.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I didn't like being on it because it completely leveled me out. I didn't have any highs and I didn't have any lows. I was just if
Numb.
I were to describe it, yeah, kind of numb, but the way it made me feel was just above low.
Huh.
Like I just wasn't happy, but I was never like the really, really bad times where you start that the downward spiral, like you're talking about checking on your ex's social media and just beating yourself up over. I didn't go there. It kept me from that spiral taking me down to places that were just too hard.
yes, yeah. Yeah, I had to same experience. It just it takes away that extreme level of emotional discomfort, and then layering it on with some. There's something else I had that just helped me sleep. Like
Yeah,
I
the anti-anxiety, mine was a really strong antihistamine that they
yeah, same.
prescribed for anti-anxiety, but when I took that, I was out.
Okay, yeah, I had both at one point,
Hmm.
and that's what you need to just function when nothing else is working. But sounds like you've come a really long way, and just what you said, Jeremiah, just the self-awareness of as well as where you may or may not be manipulated, where you've shifted the focus to yourself to be able to recognize these things in yourself with others and where you need to go. And now I think it's time to figure out what that looks like and how you get there in terms of the shit or get off the pot conversation of yes or no. Are we doing this? No. Then let's sever this and move on so that we can share
Absolutely.
our lives and create a healthy, loving environment for our child, right? She may bring in a new partner and have your son be able to see what a healthy relationship looks like and to just have your independence.
Yeah, some independence, some freedom would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What trade are you out of curiosity?
I'm cyber.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Well, it's been about an hour, and I've got to get. I gotta go pick up my girl. So let's close this thing out.
Yes.
I am Michael Brent. I'm a men's relationship coach. I help men stop building walls and start building bridges in their emotional relationships. My clients are married men who are tired of sleeping on the couch and single men who are tired of sleeping alone. Hinesh, let's hear yours.
I'm Hinesh Chauhan. I am a divorce dad coach and help them develop the strategies to be able to lead better lives and be better dads with healthy co-parenting strategies to ultimately create better outcomes for our kids.
This has been Wealth, Wisdom, and Women. This is our weekly call, 7 p.m. Central, where we just get together and kind of shoot the shit about. We have a topic each week, but as things come up, we kind of meet our guys where they are and try to provide immediate value that they can use at least through the week, or if more conversation is needed, then we can facilitate that as well. So,
Yeah. And for
uh,
everybody else, that's 8 p.m. Eastern time, the center of the universe.
all right, man. All right. It's good talking to you guys, and we will see you next week.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye, guys. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.